Alright, what's going on, y'all? I am Salar Mathematics, and today I'm gonna do a little character overview of Vega. So, I really liked Vega in 4. I played him a decent bit, and I played him a lot in the betas of 5, and I'm kind of messing around with him now again with the game's final release. And I gotta say, he's definitely different. He's similar to his 4 counterpart, but his game plan has slightly changed. So, in 4, I felt he was more kind of like a solid character with obvious weaknesses. But in 5, he kind of is he's a little bit more smoke and mirror-y. You know, he has to be a little bit more tricky to get a lot of his damage started. So, some cool things about Vega. He has a command throw now. If you've been messing around with Vega at all, you'll know these things. But the main thing that I wanted to touch on in this video is kind of like, let's say you've been playing Vega for a little bit, or maybe you're interested in picking up Vega, and you want to know what your mindset should be when you're playing. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily, okay, I know that the character can do this special move by doing a quarter circle and that he has a stance change, right? I know all these things, but how do I use these tools? So, stance change. I'm just going to kind of go through the list of the stuff that he has and talk about them. So stance change. This is a kind of a neat little addition. I much prefer this over the throw claw or throw mask system that Street Fighter 4 had. So in 5 now, if you want to take the claw off, it actually does much more than it's ever done before. So now your moves change. So your stand medium punch is different, clawed and unclawed. Your crouch medium punch is different, clawed and unclawed. Your jab is also slightly changed. It has a little bit more range in the unclawed version. And his stand jab also changes. It has a little bit more hit stun in unclawed. It's either that or his crouch strong is faster. Either way, the point is, when you're unclawed, you can actually do stand jab crouch strong, which is not possible in the clawed variation. So he has some cool combos with stance change too. If you connect a fierce, you can go from clawed. If you do clawed fierce, stance flip into unclawed crouch strong, that actually combos. And then you can do whatever you want after that. You can do the rolling crystal flash. You can do EX wall dive and throw, you know, whatever you want. The point is, you can do some tricky stuff with this. Now on hit, it's +5, so that's what allows for the crouch strong. But on block, it's actually -3. So most characters can't punish it necessarily, but you're not at frame advantage, so you can't really do like fierce stance flip and then just kind of walk up and do whatever you want, right? Because if you're -3, they're mashing jab or they're mashing low forward or DP, anything like that, you're gonna eat all that damage. And as Vega, you really don't want to eat that damage. So let's talk a little bit for why that is. He has no reversal, so he doesn't have his flip anymore. He used to have like the, I forget what it's called, Scarlet Terror. There we go. He doesn't have that anymore. That was his up flip move. It was down, back, and then forward in Street Fighter 4. And that was kind of like his fast anti-air. Even though it wasn't invincible, if you did the EX version, it had a really good hitbox from like way far away, and then also right above him. If somebody did a close jump, if you did an early one of those, it was a pretty consistent anti-air. But that is gone in this game, sadly. So now if you want to anti-air, you can do crouch fierce, stand roundhouse sometimes, and stand fierce in the claw variation can sometimes net you some nice anti-airs, but it is relatively slow. And the hitbox definitely leaves something to be desired. So I'm going to have Ken jump at me. I'm just going to kind of show an example of Vega's anti-airs, of when they can work and when they don't really work so much. So that's, I just had Ken jump, and then he runs forward a little bit. From this range, it's kind of hard for Vega to anti-air. From like right here, this is pretty rough for Vega. You can sometimes get the anti-air, but for the most part, crouch fierce is going to whiff, and stand fierce will also whiff. Even though it looks like it's going to hit because it has that kind of upward slice motion, it only hits if they're like really landing on top of you. But even then, if they do like a medium kick or something like that, most of the time it will beat out the stand fierce. I mean, sometimes you can get it to work though. So what you have to do in these situations is jump air throw. But if characters like Ken or characters that have active buttons when they jump, if they jump at you from that range and they do like an early, hold on, let me re-record that. They do like an early jump medium kick that would still hit you if you were on the ground and allow them to combo. It's kind of hard for Vega to get that jump air to air. just because of the timing of it. If you react like super fast, then you can get it pretty consistently. But if you react slightly later than like instantly, then you're gonna get smacked out. So you have to go back to what he used to do in 4. So if they jump at you, like right next to you, you have to dash under or do crouch roundhouse and slide right under all that stuff. That's kind of, so Vega still has to rely on kind of the tricky stuff to get out of certain situations. But I mean, you do have to be careful because that was a punish on the whiff sweep. But if they're right above you and they jump, crouching roundhouse is still a pretty decent option to get under a lot of stuff. So that's kind of the anti-air game. You got to use your air throw, you got to use your crouch fierce, you got to use your slide, and your dash forward as well. Now, if you're on offense and you're opening people up, you have to keep in mind the threat of command throw. So even though Vega's command throw doesn't do a ton of damage, it's still something that you cannot block and you cannot tech. So it's literally unblockable. Unblockables are in Street Fighter V. Confirmed. So now what you have to do is kind of play with this threat, because you also have an overhead. So you have 2 ways to stop people from down backing you. As opposed to just, you know, throw, which can be teched, and hits that can be blocked. You have an overhead that forces them to choose between blocking high or low. And you have a command throw, which forces them to move. So either they press a button against you, they jump, or backdash. And 2 of those options get crush countered. So when you're in with Vega, he has some pretty good fast buttons like the stand light kick and his crouch jab, of course. Clawed and unclawed. What happened to my claw? I guess I lost it when Ken was beating me up. Let me restart the battle. Oh, you know what? This is actually a good opportunity to showcase if he has the claw off. He can just go into this combo. So it still works. You can do unclawed stand fierce into stance change and then crouch strong. And that's like a nice little I want to be the champion. I want to do the damage move right there. But yeah, so you kind of have to play with the threat of command throw when you have the claw off. And if you have the claw on, you always have that opportunity to stance change it at any hit, right? So you can do a block string like that, you can do something like this, and do a stance change, you know, a stand short, stand crouch jab, and then stance change, right? Something tricky to get the claw off. And in certain matchups, I think it's really essential to kind of switch from the clawed variation. Because this is, you know, as I may have mentioned earlier, it's plus on block, and it's plus on hit. So it's a really good button. And his crouch strong is also really good in this stance because he can cancel it. So unclawed is pretty much the way to go, but clawed, this thing is still really strong as well. So you have options as Vega. The thing you really want to look out for is people that really just want to jump and people that want to just make it happen off of one whiff punish. Because Ken can whiff punish this with like back strong, for example, and then he can get in off that. So and that's, you know, that's not exclusive to Ken. Every character has some way to punish the stand strong or the crouch strong. You have to be careful when you're throwing out these buttons. And you know, because they're not money bags buttons. You know, they still have weakness. It is the money bags, but it's not unbeatable. This move, pretty good. I would generally stay away from it for the most part. You have to kind of set it up and condition your opponent to get hit by that, because this thing is super whiff punishable. If you ever whiff this and your opponent does not whiff punish it, you gotta count your lucky stars, man. You know, even if your opponent jumps at you, if you do this and they jump on reaction, Vega's gonna have a hard time anti-airing that. So you know, in general, it's okay. It's pretty cool that you can cancel into rows, but you really gotta set it up. You gotta make your opponent get hit by that. You can't just throw it out there. But it does crush counter on hit, and then you can get never mind. You can do that from closer though. Well, maybe not anymore. I believe at one point in time you could do that, but I could be wrong. But you can get a sweep for sure. And that's usually my go-to if I ever get a crush counter one of these. But yeah, you know, I would just be careful because it is kind of tricky. But yeah, it's a good button, but use it sparingly is kind of where I'm at with that one. Yeah, man, Vega's kind of smoke and mirrorsy. You gotta be tricky, you gotta be floaty, you gotta make sure that your neutral game is really solid. Your whiff punishing has to be on point, your pressure with buttons, kind of whittling your opponent's health down is the name of the game. And then when you have the claw off, you kind of mix up getting command throws It does switch sides as well, so that's a really interesting tool, especially if you're in the corner. You want to try to, if you can sneak, like a button and then an EX command throw, now you're out of the corner. And they're in the corner. So you get some of this, you know, some of this money maker right here. You get some of this crouch strong right there, you know what I'm saying? Some of this low forward, whatever you want to do, really. Vega does have some interesting stuff off of knockdowns as well. So I'm going to make him normal rise. I really think that Vega is a tech-heavy character. If you are playing Vega, really make sure that you have your tech on deck. Because it's going to be really important. So something like this, for example, is the difference between winning and losing in tournaments. Because that makes up a sick. It side switches, and then you can just go for command throw too. If your opponent's seen it before, and they're like, oh man, I'm not going to get hit by that, then boom, you just command throw. And now you get to do, you know, the dankness, or whatever you want. And that's another thing also. If the rose hits in the corner, you can dash through them. And that's, you know, that's just a little tidbit. If you do it, late dash, you stay on the same side, but early dash, you can dash under them. And then you can meaty, you keep yourself out of the corner, keep them in the corner. It's just stuff like that you can kind of find as you're toying around in training mode, and you can figure some cool stuff out with Vega. But I think that pretty much covers the majority of Vega's stuff, at least for this video. I'll talk more specifically about matchups and how to deal with very specific situations in other videos. But that's just kind of like a basic primer of Vega as a character and kind of the mindset that you can take when dealing with different situations. So yeah. I have been Sal Arathmatics. This one was a little long-winded, but I think there's definitely a lot of information, and Vega's definitely a very technical character. So I apologize if it went on a little long, but I do think we got some good info crammed in there. But yeah, I will catch you guys later. More videos to come. Hopefully, most likely, definitely, probably. But yeah, that's Sal Arathmatics, and I'll catch you later. Peace, y'all.